Hi, Allison. I know you've been in touch with Kelly, but I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Caroline, Caroline Isotier with the Director of Tech for Good Canada. And yeah, so I'm just going to be here with on the interview as well. And are you all right with me recording this for
Yeah,
research
of
purposes?
course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to introduce, yeah, Tech for Good Canada, it's a nonprofit that tries to advocate for healthy use of technology, basically, and especially as with respect to youth. So that's why we're doing this innovative research project with Ontario Tech.
Amazing. So important.
Thank you.
Lovely to meet you.
Yeah, great to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well, Allison. And thank you so much for giving us some of your time today. We've admired your social media content for a while, so it really is a pleasure for you to join us. So just a few questions then about your journey as the TikTok creator and then sort of your experience, if you will.
Yeah, for sure. To be honest, I never set out to be a content creator at all. It wasn't my intention. However, obviously being different online and having some kind of different story does appeal to other people because they want to learn, which I think is such a great way to educate others on topics that aren't normally discussed. So for me, I was never actually comfortable using the word disability when I was younger. I was severely bullied, both mentally and physically. I suffered from immense body image insecurities. I actually hid my prosthetic, and it kind of turned into this thing where I didn't think anyone was going to see it, but some people started resonating with my content. I was getting messages from parents saying, "Hey, my child is disabled. I didn't know that they could grow up and live this fulfilled lifestyle just as you are." So it kind of spiraled that way, where what I was doing for myself, just trying to get comfortable with myself, began to be a journey of advocating for other people. And I didn't have a role model when I was younger. Nobody looked like me on television and magazines, or if they did, they were pitied and their disability was the sole focus of that character. And that character never found love. It never, went off to move on, out on their own. It was just kind of like a burden on a family in every episode. And so for me, I wanted to change that narrative, and I wanted to showcase for younger kids, like, look, you can grow up, you can live independently, you can do this. And sure, sometimes it might look differently for you than non-disabled people, but you are capable of doing or trying anything that you want to. So my journey started that way, and I love what I'm doing now. It's allowed me to connect with so many people online. So it's funny to look back when I was younger and when I used to feel so alone. And now growing up and learning that those with disabilities make up the largest minority in the world. There's 15% in the population. And it just shows that social media can be used in a positive way, where it allows you to connect with others just like you, and you can share stories and support each other when you're going through something similar, maybe a little bit different, but to know that you're not the only one with those challenges or hurdles. And it has not only given me an opportunity to educate others, but I'm learning so much as I go. And I'm learning about different disabilities. Sure, people say, oh, she's an advocate for disabilities, which I take pride in, but just because I am a disabled woman doesn't mean that I know everything about every disability. So as I'm having these conversations, I'm learning so much more, which is what I think anybody's goal should be, is just to expand their mind. But I'll be honest, social media hasn't always been nice to me. I know I shared a link with you both last year in May. I was having a lot, well, even before May, I was having a lot of trouble with TikTok specifically. Any content that I was trying to put out there that showed my prosthetic leg was being taken down for nudity or disturbing content. And I didn't understand why. And I'm part of this body positivity, body acceptance space online. So I started talking to other creators, asking if they were encountering the same troubles using this platform. And it did come out that they were censoring larger bodies, people of color, disabled people. And TikTok never wanted to admit that that's what they were doing, but it seemed as though the pattern fit, because anybody else that I knew that didn't butte the status quo for the standard of beauty that is pushed down our throats, anyone that looked a little bit different was being censored online. And or if my content wasn't being removed entirely, it wasn't being pushed to an audience. So I have almost 10,000 followers, but I would have 0 views on my content. And TikTok did come out and say that nobody is there to censor. They use an AI platform. So their AI picks up on these pieces of bodies. So larger bodies is read as though there's too much skin showing, whether or not those same bodies are showing up in a bikini, just like someone that's thin. And or, they did indirectly say that those with disabilities, sometimes it's the AI system picks it up as like a weapon. So it's difficult. At what extent are these bodies being censored to an appropriate amount? To, social media can be a scary place, but if it's censoring those from minority groups, it's not okay.
Yeah.
So
Right. Interesting.
sorry, that was a really long explanation.
That was wonderful. Go ahead, Kelly. Yeah.
That was wonderful. Thank you, Allison. And you actually answered a few of our questions there.
Okay.
So that is great. One of the questions that we had was, do you use any other platforms other than Instagram and TikTok for activism?
And Facebook, right? I think you are on Facebook as well, right?
I'm on Facebook as well. I'm mostly on those 3. So Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. However, I'm starting to expand more into YouTube, just because I would have control over the segments and the episodes I'm putting out. And I want to start talking about social issues and or funding issues and explaining my story and or other things more in depth than these other platforms allow me to. So yeah, to me, each platform is used a little bit differently. I mean, TikTok for me, I make more funny videos, short and sweet, with other sounds that have already been created that are trending, so that I can reach those audiences. But with YouTube, I want to make it more of an educational based platform. So.
And on YouTube, then would you be producing, I guess, slightly longer content as well there?
Yeah, that's my whole goal, is to produce longer content there. And I do get lots of questions for younger kids with disabilities, or even from teachers. How do we, if something's going on in the classroom, how do we address this, like this bullying issue, or this kid feels like he's left out? How can we implement things into the classroom just to normalize disability without singling students out? So, I mean, I've been through those kinds of things. So to expand on those would be great.
Great. Wonderful. And just, I have another question about the different platforms and the journey. I guess we didn't trace exactly back to when you started and where you started. What platform did you choose to start? Was it TikTok or was it Instagram, or what was your first?
That's a great question. So my background's actually in photography and graphic design from university. So when I first graduated from high school, so I play for Team Canada, and I was scouted when I was 16. So I traveled internationally with my team up to the age of 21 before I took a break to focus on my studies. And I got to participate in international competitions in Brazil, across the States, in Europe, and that gave me a sense of a travel bug. So I started traveling, and I used Instagram as just a collection of my own memories. But of course, when you're traveling in tropical countries, it's really hard for me to hide my prosthetic in my photos. So what I ended up doing was just posting them. And that's when I started getting attention, because I was using a hashtag hop around the world with me, because I have one leg. And so my friends and family could follow along. And I don't know if it was through that hashtag or just from people seeing my body in images, but that's when I started getting messages from other people with disabilities. And I'm like, okay, this platform can be used for a greater cause than what I am intentionally using it for now. So I started on Instagram, and I use a little bit of Twitter, but I've kind of dropped that because I'm more into imagery.
Mhm.
And then of course, everyone was on Facebook and TikTok. I didn't start, well, honestly, I started TikTok at the beginning of the pandemic, but it was more for jokes. I didn't know what to do with the platform. And I knew everyone on there was like, oh, we're almost 30. This is like a kid's platform. And then the more I used it, I was like, this isn't just for kids. Sure, kids can see this content, which is good also, but a lot of older people are on this platform as well. So how can I utilize it to benefit myself and to share my story? So I would say I didn't really start taking TikTok seriously until maybe a year and a half ago.
Oh, interesting. And we've ventured into creating TikToks with Kelly and Ines, who are research assistants. What was that like? The learning of using TikTok? Like, was it easy for you coming from already visual communication on Instagram? Because I guess maybe on Instagram you were more doing images, and here you had to switch to video, even if it's simplified video. What was that like in terms of, content creation?
Yeah,
What
that
do you,
transition was different for me, to be honest, because of my photography background, and I have a blog. So for me to take a photo and then write a lengthy caption with my feelings, or my healing journey, or just some kind of story, was so easy. I shouldn't say easy, it's never easy to be vulnerable and pour your heart out, but it was easier for me to do than to show up in videos. Like, I'm even sometimes nervous to show up in my stories speaking. I don't know what it is. I mean, I love speaking like this to all of you and educating, and I am a speaker and I do visit in schools, but it's one thing to take a beautiful image and then to also transition and change into video where people are seeing all of you. They can judge how you move, what you do. And to be honest, it wasn't nice for me at first. I struggle more because I feel Instagram is, you fall upon people's platforms that kind of align with your algorithm and the niche that you're already in. Whereas TikTok, your videos can be pushed to anybody. And I found that Instagram was such a loving, safe space for me to share my story. And it's been the opposite on TikTok. So I get a lot of hate messages and comments on TikTok. And to be honest, like, I might get emotional sharing this, but as much as I preach for self-love and that I have learned to love my body, it's a continuous journey. So it does affect me inside, because I think of that little girl. Like, if I was 15 reading these messages, I maybe wouldn't be here today, because that's how I felt when I was younger. So it is hard. So for me to say
wow.
if I love one platform over the other, I mean, I love them both for different reasons, but also it is much harder to show up in video on a larger platform like TikTok right now. So
That's so important to say, because we've been finding that as well. And what we find is the sort of the deceptive nature of TikTok, because it looks so spontaneous often. A lot of the videos are like, the person filming herself, right with her phone. It looks so easy in a way, but really it is not.
no, it's not easy.
So for because our original intent, as you can see from my backdrop, was to connect with teachers and see how they could maybe use TikTok in pedagogy and teaching.
Mhm.
And so initially you were looking for really young people who might be using TikTok to express themselves about causes, but we found more young adults like you who were using TikTok and Instagram for activism, basically, not teenagers. Um, so you know, it's not a surprise, I think, that it's not that easy to put yourself out there as a teenager and talk about a cause, especially, disability. So I think, your example is probably really helpful to a lot of teens and young people, and I hope you get that too as feedback.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun fact about me, actually, my second degree was in teaching. So I was a teacher. Yeah. And that's what I wanted to do, was because I suffered so much when I was younger in school, because I was the only kid at my school in elementary that had a disability, or even that I knew of. And
Mm.
for me, I wanted to become a teacher so that I could indirectly expose children to disability without talking about it every day. Just me showing
Right.
up in the classroom in a skirt or a dress would just normalize that for them when they're out in the real world.
Mhm.
And I've transitioned in that, but bringing that with me into my advocacy work. And that's why I show up online. And sure, it's winter, but when I'm posting videos, even if it's something completely normal or a dancing trend, I want to show my prosthetic without highlighting a story about it. So kids that don't want to talk about their disability or aren't ready, and that's what a lot of people forget, is just because someone is born or had an accident and is now disabled doesn't mean that their short story is to share.
Mhm.
So for me, I choose to share it, but not everybody is comfortable doing that yet, but they should be comfortable enough to show up in the body that they have.
Great. Go ahead, Kelly. I know you have more questions.
Thank you so much, Allison. We've talked about this research mainly focuses on TikTok. So a few of our questions are going to be TikTok focused. We've talked about kind of the good side, the bad side. Moving forward, what are some of the changes that you want to see TikTok make?
There's lots of changes I want to see them make. I would love for them to become more inclusive. I know of a bunch of accounts that get banned or shadow banned, so people can't find them or they can't post content for an extended period of time. And that has happened to me 8 times now. Yeah, where there will be a trend and I want to hop on board because that's what's circulating, and that's what the platform pushes, is whatever sound or storyline is trending at that moment. And there have been times where girls will do something in the gym in shorts and I'll do the same thing and my video will be taken down with no explanation. Just, this video has been taken down for inappropriate content or disturbing content. And there's been other creators, not only myself, but other amputees, where the transition, you'll throw the shoe up and you'll kick it and then they'll be in a different outfit. A friend of mine who's also a leg amputee changed that narrative a bit. She was fully clothed, but she stuck her residual limb into a different prosthetic. And the outfit was going to change from like casual to fancy.
Mhm.
And because it had to do with a part of the body that not a lot of people are used to seeing, which is this residual limb that's normally hidden by the prosthetic, it was taken down for nudity. So for me, I would love to see the platform, I know it's so difficult because there's so many people on there, but to almost get someone to just double check certain videos that are either being reported or AI is picking up on, because there's far worse on the platform. And there's so many other accounts that are talking about OnlyFans or selling photos of themselves online. And it's like, how are those videos allowed to stay up with such a young audience on this platform, but someone just wanting to live authentically as themselves is prohibited? So
Yeah.
there are tweaks, and I'm not sure because I'm not super tech savvy, but I would love to see this being addressed, because even when it is addressed, so we opened up a case with Global News and TikTok refused to make comments on it. They actually just copied and pasted pieces of their like mission statement and what their brand and company stands for that you can find online. So no one wanted to comment on the fact that people are being censored due to their bodies, which is also problematic. because
Very
a lot of people working at TikTok for TikTok. So
right.
we'll see.
E- Even though connecting with TikTok, have you found someone at TikTok in Canada? Have you been able to connect with someone there, or is it all US
Right.
based?
I think at Global News they did. So in that short segment, they did have someone just touch on the AI components, or I think he used to work for TikTok, but
Okay.
I've definitely, I'll be honest, I've reached out to people on LinkedIn and I don't get responses. So
Interesting. That's what I found myself. I was trying to connect with them and I never get any response. And I know Canada is really not, important in the grand scheme of things.
and it goes to show that also strength in numbers. So one content creator, her account got taken down and it has oh, I forget her disability name, but she lives with it, like uses a wheelchair.
Okay.
And her account got taken down and she was trying to get in contact with TikTok for so long, stating like,
Yeah.
I've done nothing wrong. That's how I dance in my wheelchair. And nobody from TikTok answered. And there had to be like an uproar of bringing people together, being like, everyone try to contact TikTok on behalf of this account. And it was just like, it goes to show power in numbers, because shortly after they still didn't address the issue. They didn't contact her via message. But because so many people were complaining, where did this account go? You just deleted her out of thin air. It all of a sudden appeared again one day and she could access it. So, I mean, I don't like being ignored or ghosted, shall I say, by anybody in life. And I don't think that someone with such a huge platform should do that either. I think that they should address what's going on.
Right. Right. That's really interesting. Interesting inside information. If you've ever remembered the name of that creator, we'd be interested to use that example as well in terms of power in numbers on TikTok. That would be interesting. And just maybe one last question, so we don't keep you too long. You did start mentioning young people and TikTok. What what is your, you must be sort of, what is your, I don't want to bias you in any way. So what do you think about, very young people, teenagers being on TikTok in general? I know, some of them will be, super lucky to access your content, but what is your take on TikTok being such an important tool for really young kids and teenagers today? I guess, do you have any words on that, any comments on that?
Obviously, like with my teacher background, it does frighten me on what kids can find online. But I mean, even when I was a teenager, I had access to YouTube. So it's like, how can we monitor to ensure that our kids are being safe online? So I know YouTube and Netflix have kids accounts, or where, parents can monitor or choose what type of content they can access. So I know TikTok doesn't have that feature yet, but I'm hoping that in the future that they do, and that they can categorize things, because there are things that address like adult content where they talk about sex and the body and all of that. But not every child needs to be exposed to that at such a young age. It's almost like, how do we create categories on this large platform? Because right now, the For You page, anything can pour into there, depending on hashtag or similar content, or just based on the same creator that you've seen in the past. So I don't know if that goes to answer your question, but there should be a way for parents to be confident that their kids are not, digesting things that aren't appropriate for their age group yet. And
I really like your idea of categories, basically. I like that idea. And the design of TikTok, the For You page, as you say, is quite different really from even Instagram, where Instagram you would only, until recently, because they changed it again, you would only see people you follow on Instagram. Whereas on TikTok, you see whatever the algorithm decides to show you, because by default, it's the For You page, not the following page. So, these are all design choices that can be changed,
Yeah.
at any time. And do you ever do lives? Do you do lives or no?
I do lives on Instagram. I've
On Instagram.
never done a live on TikTok, but I've been thinking about it.
Okay. Yeah, because one other thing we noticed on lives on TikTok is some creators, they'll do lives, and these lives are often made to request, or I guess people who are viewing the live can send gifts to the creators.
Mhm.
And when you're targeting really, really young kids, that's kind of strange, to be targeting like a 9 or 10-year-old and be a creator, and the 10-year-old can send gifts to this creator. So that's another aspect of that I'm rambling on now. Since you haven't used it yet. But thank you so very much. This was so interesting. And it's really interesting to find out that you were a teacher in the end. So this explains a lot of what you're doing as well. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day. Take care.
Thanks. You too. Bye-bye.